Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Challenge 40 Battle of the Eras or RHAP podcast for episode 10. I am Brian Cohen. With me, as always, is my co-host, Ali Lasher. Ali, how are you?
I'm doing great, Brian. Short time, much see. Short time, a lot of see.
Yes, we were at the great live RHAP event last week, New York City. Got to meet some great people. I was very intertwined with the Yankees and stuff that first night, so I didn't get a chance to see as many people. But Wednesday night was a lot of fun as always, so always good to hang out with the RHAP crew.
Yeah, it was fun. We had an exchanging of gifts. We're creating quite a nice little merch line that nobody has access to except for us.
We're doing a lot of one of one, some one of twos, that we both own. So down the road, this is 40 years down the road, put this stuff is on eBay. It's going to give quite the price tag.
Is this one of one? I did bring the only merch that hasn't yet been shown on the podcast.
No, that's a one of one.
Oh, wow. I love this little thing. This I think of all of the things. So we have a sweatshirt, we have a t-shirt, we have glassware.
Mm-hmm.
Not a part of the collection, but the sister collection. You gave me an NGOG mug, also one of one.
You got me a mug, Anissa.
Oh, right. I forgot about that. The initial Barack Obama Hope Anissa mug, right?
Yep, we got that. I think that's it.
And now we have a wine stopper that says the Drunk Ants on one side, Challenge Wrap Up on the other. It quickly became one of my most prized possessions. I love this. I wanted to show and tell.
Love to see it. Yeah, we got quite the crew. This is great.
I am today also wearing merch that I made, but it's for me. It's unaffiliated with the Challenge Wrap Up, and it just says, I used to be worse.
There you go.
I had this made for me and my friend. Honestly, could possibly, if I just threw RHAP Up on the back, it would double as challenge merch. It works.
And honestly, that could apply to a lot of people on the challenge. So, it works for them too, because they all used to be a lot worse. Some still are, but others were worse.
We could do I was going to say his and hers. It's not his and hers. We could do like a Angel and Devil. I used to be worse or I used to be better. And there are a lot of people who also used to be better on the challenge.
Yeah, all fair points. Now, I don't want to cold take expose us, especially mainly you, because you had the whole thing. We're back. We're feeling great about the season. I agreed. I thought we were back last week. Great episode. I'm on shaky ground right now. I don't love the format that we're going to have now for the next probably 6 to 7 weeks until we get closer to a final. We're back to men's heat, women's heats. We're back to half the cast basically having nothing to play for. And I'm not loving it. And that's not great.
That's interesting. I mean, we're coming, to you right after the episode. So not me being like, I need more time to digest, but perhaps I will feel differently next week. But as I come to you today, how I feel is I feel positive about the format. I think this episode maybe was a little bit of the more predictable. I was starting to drag a little bit in the 8th conversation about what Tori was going to do. And obviously she was going to put bananas in. But from a format perspective, I'm happy it's not 2 of the 3 people nominated going in. I'm happy we're still sort of, there's a reason I think at least for the men to play who are not targets, because if you lose, you automatically go in.
Okay. So that's an important clarification I need to make, because I'm still not 100% sure. Is that the actual rule, or is it because Ryan finished last of the targets he went in, or is he finished last amongst all the men?
I believe that the way it was said was that the loser goes in and then the winner picks from the targets. So I thought in an ideal situation, maybe it's not ideal, it doesn't really matter. If Nehemiah lost the challenge, not to drag Nehemiah, just first person I thought of, despite very little airtime, can't understand why I just thought of him. If Nehemiah lost the challenge, it would have been all 3 in the deliberation across from him.
Okay. That's a big plus, because I hope that was the case, but I wasn't 100% sure. But I thought it was just that I wish that Ryan didn't finish last, so we would know for sure.
But it mirrors, I think we do know for sure, because it mirrors the main format, right? The losing era went in, like the losing era's, I guess, targets went in, so
Right.
it doesn't exactly mirror the same format.
That's a
I'm
big
living
plus,
in a
though.
world where this is the format, because otherwise it could just be no. That's how I interpret it. I almost want to pause and go back and watch it and come back.
No, because I
But
think
like,
what you're saying is how I heard it and how TJ said it, but I couldn't 100% tell if when he said the person who finishes last goes in, if that only applied to the targets or to just all the men in general. Because I don't think we got enough clips of other people, other men, being like, I just can't finish last to go
oh yeah,
in.
no wait, we got 100 clips of that. We had Josh like sizing up the field and being like, as long as I don't come in last. We had Derek talking about that, but he's at the bottom. We definitely had Josh be like, I'm looking at Jordan, I'm looking at these people. I just need
Okay.
to come in a place where I don't finish last.
But Derek's also a target. But yeah, but okay.
No, I know I said that right. But like,
Okay.
but Josh definitely
Okay.
said it.
Okay. All right, then. Well, let's go.
I mean, that would be so stupid, right? Like, why? Like, why would that need to be the case? So the other piece that I like about it is that they're going to hinder. Let's just talk about this week, right? Michelle loses. She's going to get punished next week. That gives all of the women an incentive, something to play for, and not just like throwing it because they don't want blood on their hands with the win. So I thought that was like a nice correction. We'll see how big of a penalty it really is next week. But I thought that was a really nice correction. Also, like for something like this, where potentially the women could have helped the men if they wanted to. Like it was unclear on the rules, and we'll talk about in the challenge. But I think they have put a few guardrails in to make it like, less boring for half the house. And then also the added detail that we find at the end of the episode, the person who wins the challenge is safe the next week. So that's going to prevent people from just immediately being like Rachel every other week. I really think it's like a good transition from the main format to this new individual format.
Okay, you're convincing me a little. Maybe I was a little more down on it. I had an extra day, not spoiler alert, peek behind the curtain alert, of an extra day of like watching it to sit on it. And I was like, I slept on it. I was like, feel like not great. Maybe if I came in straight, I would have a better view. I don't know, but if the bottom man or bottom woman 100% goes in, that's a big plus. The twist, not the twist at the end, because as Kara points out, is the most obvious thing that it should happen. That the person who wins can't be chosen again to be the target is also a big help. Because part of me was wondering, like, what the heck do the women even have to play for on a men's day? Like, why are they even trying? Why would they even want to get their hands dirty? But if it keeps them safe the following week, that is a big plus. So that helps. I don't like, we've been such a good groove of everyone potentially going home in a week, where it's like men and women both going home. I don't like when half the house can't go home at all. So I don't know. I don't like the men's heat, women's heat, but it's okay.
I mean, we are going to be here for a long time. We're here for a good time and for a long time now, because
this is 10.
How many people are left? I'm looking at the list right now.
I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say now there are 17 people left.
Yeah, I think we said there were 18 last time. So 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 people left. Yeah. So, I think when
16 people?
No, 17.
No? 17. Okay.
I think when we discussed it last time, we were like, oh, like it is we're like halfway there. If we lose two people, whatever. I don't know. So you think this is going to keep going, take us through the finale, this format?
This will, I think, take us to 10 people left, and then maybe they'll do a 2-person purge to get us to a final of 8, would be my guess.
Interesting. I feel like, what's the difference between a purge and like a sort of during final elimination? That's the first part of the final, and then like a mid-final elimination, which I feel like they love. But yeah, that makes sense. I'm trying to highlight that Ryan went home. Anyway, I'll do that later. But as far as this episode, like, how did you feel about the episode, separate from the format?
It was good. I think they gave Ryan a pretty like positive edit, where if this was someone else, like this was an all-time bad back-to-back daily and elimination performance from our boy Ryan. Like all-time bad. And I think if this was someone else that like production hated, or someone else they really wanted to twist the knife off, they really could have clowned him with a lot of dodo music all the way through. So they kind of gave him like a nice enough send-off. Even TJ like gave him some nice enough send-off. But this was about as bad as it gets from anyone who's done anything on the challenge before.
I mean, yeah, and they've been giving more of the Dodo edit all season to Bananas. Like, I think they clowned him a lot this episode when it was really sort of an activation episode, as he says. Like, I think, like, one of Bananas' maybe better episodes in a while because he's actually has to do stuff and his backs are against the ropes and he, like, showed out. And they're giving him sort of like the Devin Dodo edit. So I agree that, like, if you were to, like, look at it, just like take the episode for what it was, you'd be like, wow, Ryan has a lot of heart. Ryan really, like, did the right thing by his best friend. Like, he kind of got screwed, but he, like, has a lot of heart versus bark. And they make Bananas look bad when really, like, that's not what happened in the episode.
Yeah, I mean, to do a puzzle upside down for like a half hour and to be told he's doing it upside down and he still did it upside down after that is crazy. And
I don't know that he was told. Like, honestly, scrap the rest of the episode. Let's talk about this for 60 hours. I literally cannot understand putting that together upside down. But was he? I don't think he was told. He was just told he was incorrect. So then he kept trying to, like, rechange his pieces.
Yeah, it's honestly, like, I know I just found them, but it's honestly more impressive that he just did an entire puzzle of just plain black pieces. Like, that's crazy hard to do. So kudos for him for doing that, even though he was wrong. But, like, it was crazy impressive to just do that.
Okay, I'll see that being impressed, and I'll raise you justice for Ryan. Ryan solved the puzzle. Like, he put the pieces together so they fit in the shape. Could the pieces fit any other way than would make the 40 on the other side of that thing?
I don't think so. I mean,
like, I think Ryan put the puzzle together. We didn't say face up. Like, I thought justice for Ryan. Ryan finished, like, third.
But, like, and I think I'll give Ryan a little bit of the benefit of the doubt because, as we see with Michelle, it was a very hot day. It was a very grueling type of daily that the brainwaves are just not firing, which also makes him doing the puzzle like that even more impressive. But I can understand your brain just not clicking that it's like, oh, we're doing a puzzle, so there has to be, like, a shape or a thing we're doing. So his brain just wasn't firing that it was, oh, there's something on the other side of it. But I think, as Derek points out, the odds of him not knocking one of the pieces over, or, like, he takes them out of the bag and they're all the black facing up, it's crazy that he doesn't notice, oh, what is this white thing doing on the other side of it? And he just thought that was just, like, decorative for the back of it. Like, it's great. It's one of the more unbelievable things that's happened here.
You're saying give Ryan the benefit of the doubt. Could you give him more of the benefit of the doubt than to say he was robbed? Forget Horacio. Ryan won this challenge. I don't understand. But it's also, like, it was insane to watch. It was an incredible moment. But they do generally do these sort of tangram style puzzles with just blank pieces. So I didn't even think it was that insane that he thought that. Like, it was a more complicated shape, and thus I agree, much harder without at least the guideposts of the 40. But when they give, like, those 6-piece shape puzzles that make a rhombus, like, they don't have pictures on them.
That's a fair point. But yeah, as you said, it's usually this seemed like it was like a 20-piece puzzle, which I feel like would be a lot if it's all just no design.
Now, Corey did, when we kick off this episode and we get the flashback that kind of shapes the entire episode. I'm the only person who's been watching these stupid flashbacks, but, like, if you have a chance to put Johnny Bananas into an elimination, do it. And then Corey gets more airtime for the idea that there should be a cardboard cutout of Devin in the house than Corey gets of his own airtime this entire episode.
Yeah, I would love to know now the logistics. Did he say that and they were like, oh, we should do that? Or did they think, oh, let's do a cardboard cutout and we need someone to say it to, like, slide it in? Because they really got their money's worth from it. And I think it's going to stay. I think this thing's going to be here to the final. I think as long as, like, Tori and Michelle are going along, I think the Devin pop-up's going to be here.
I mean, yeah, what came first, the chicken little or the egg? We'll never know in terms of the origin story of it. But yeah, I mean, it's a little annoying to me, this sort of mentality of Tori's playing Devin's game. And, like, Tori is playing Devin's game, and I think we talked about that last week. Like, Tori's like, I play a Loyal to the Soil game. These are my friends. Devin's right here. I'm going to toss in the guy who tossed you in. At the same time, taking shots at Tori's number one ally is taking shots at her. And so if you're not with Devin, you're against Tori. And I don't think, I think Bananas is almost underestimating Tori when he continues to hammer in like, Michelle and Tori, you're just being controlled by Devin. It wasn't about you. It was about Devin.
Mm-hmm.
Now we should be together. Like, no, that's a shot at them too.
It was a very complicated situation because as Tori keeps pointing out, one of the biggest reasons she took the shot at Bananas was for Devin. So Bananas can spin that as like doing Devin's game. But as Bananas points out, and I think even Ryan points out, it wasn't a very well thought out thing because as we pointed out, why if you want to take the shot at Bananas, you don't put in Ryan and Derek. And it just didn't make any sense. If that was like her not even long move, her like short-term move to take the shot at him, you have to put like a Theo or a Nehemiah or someone else in there that sure it ended up being like a gimmicky race car Mario Kart thing, but you have to take the shot at someone that you think could beat him and not be in a position where you might be tossing in two best friends against each other.
So that's the hard part, right? Is like assuming the format is the loser goes in, you don't need to put in bigger threats. And in fact, in retrospect, it's a good move for Tori because let's say she wasn't in power, leaving only one big target eligible as a target to go in incentivizes the next group of people in power to put Bananas in. If you put him up against Bananas and Nehemiah and Jordan or whatever and big threats, the people in power might be like, well, I'm more threatened by Jordan, I'm putting him in.
Right.
If you put Bananas as the big fish in a small pond, he's more likely to be chosen by the random draw of who might be in power. Now she gets lucky that she flops back into the power position to choose from her own targets. But I think that can only be a criticism leveled against her if it was all the targets are the only people who could go in. And I don't know why she would necessarily have to think that.
Well, she probably would have thought that when she was making the decision. I don't think she could have thought like 2 weeks ago when she was making the decisions of who the targets would be. I think she has to be thinking at that time, these are the only people that can go in because that's just been the season to this point.
Yeah, but out of only 3 people, it was like my reaction was the same thing. It's like, oh, it's 3 people. I still maintain what I said last week, which is like Tori's way more relationship focused. And I truly believe she made these decisions based on who she was not aligned with and not so much strategic of I really want Bananas out and this is who I have to like put in together. But I don't even think she was thinking of how the mechanism would work. I think she's so like relationship driven.
Yeah, we got a little bit of Cara throughout this episode, and it was nice that we're seeing Cara without the Laurel dynamic right now, which has been put on pause for a few weeks, which is nice. And it's nice to see a calmer, softer side of Cara, not dealing with the angst of Laurel, and seeing her, as she says, gets to be a little bit more herself, and we're seeing that a little bit more on the camera, seeing that a little bit more with her friends. So good for Cara.
I'm like, did we even see Cara this episode? Like, what?
She popped up. She had a conversation.
Like, what about the Cara said to connect? Like, I feel like she was behind the camera being like, Rachel doesn't even really like Johnny. And I was like, okay. Like, what was interesting is I saw a clip of Rachel on the Bananas podcast. What's it called? Like, the Johnny Appeal.
The Greatest Challenge podcast.
Death and Taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, he talked about how he like doesn't come in pre-aligned, and like I think part of that is because Johnny talks about how he's like not friends with people in the interim of the show, but it is kind of more of an old school move that I kind of like that we're missing now with like the Vacation Alliance, where like these people do just kind of show up and they see what they see. Like they have their relationships, but there's a lot more flexibility between, I feel like in older seasons between the relationships. So it doesn't surprise me that Johnny and Rachel are sort of a marriage of convenience. Johnny's angels are like Laurel, Aviv, Rachel.
Jenny.
Who's the fourth? Jenny. So like, who had that on their bingo card, right? Like that is purely based on who's on that side of the house, who's working together now. So it's not so relevant to me when Cara pops up and is like, well, Rachel, I know, like hasn't liked Johnny for 20 years. Okay, what else are they supposed to do?
And honestly, it's kind of a bit of a knock for Cara because Rachel's doing exactly what you should be doing. You shouldn't have specific people you hate and you can't work with. Like Rachel's being willing, like, look, this is the card I'm dealt. This is the season. I need the guys to keep me safe. So I'm going to go after Bananas. I'm going to go, as we see later, she goes after Jordan, gets them on her side. Cara should try to do that also.
And And the other person doing that, I think, is Michelle. I think Michelle really impressed me with this conversation with Jordan. And I still don't know what to make of Michelle because, like, when Devin was sort of calling the dogs on bananas, Michelle was like, I'm not really into that plan. I'm going to work with bananas if it suits me. Then when Jordan approaches Michelle, he's like, she's, I think, giving the perfect answer of like, well, he's proven he's not with me. So, like, I'm down for whatever. I'm with you. Michelle, kind of a free agent now, I think is doing a good job making those appeals to someone like Jordan, who she doesn't have that much of a prior relationship with.
Yeah, but I mean, this is where Michelle shines. Like, this is from her Survivor days of either being on the bottom and working her way out of that, or just being a very social butterfly that can work with anyone and understanding how the games work. And it sucks to see her, see in the daily, like, so down on herself physically, because I think if Michelle broke in like the early 30s or late 20s, when the women crop was not nearly what it is now, she would be one of like the better female competitors. She's just now in an age where the women crop are better, deeper, and stronger comparatively than the men coming into this season. So yeah, when she's seeing Cara and Laurel and Emily and Rachel and Jenny, it's like, what that? She's like, I'm screwed. But if she joined and like it was just one of those like 7 people, she could absolutely compete and do well in a final. So I can understand her despair a little bit, but socially, there's no reason to think she can't make it very close to the end again like she did in 39.
No, agree totally. All right, let's talk about the daily. One thing that TJ said last week that he also said this week that I don't know how much we got into it is when TJ talks about the individual format, he says you still represent your era, but definitively he says only one man and one woman will win. Do you think he's just saying you still represent your era as like to drive home the format, like you're still vendettas, but now you're working to like he just wants to say, eras? Or do you think that will come into play somehow, either in the final or before we get to the final?
I normally I would think they would bring things back for the final because they usually do like to do that. But given where we stand now with just Rachel representing era 1, it would be crazy if by the final they're like back in teams and Rachel has to beat like a team of 6 going into a final. So I don't think so. Like maybe there'll be some like homage to each era in the final, like either do a daily or something like that that's targeted towards that era in some degree. Like they'll do something like that, but I don't think they'll be getting back in teams. I think it's, as TJ says, is individual to the end, and I think that includes the final.
Yeah, and you can still represent your era as like if Rachel wins, she's a hell of a representation for era 1 for sure.
Right.
And I was trying to think if there's anything it could tie to the karma votes, but it's really not like, I don't know if that's a little nod to like, you still have to care what people think about you. You still represent your era. I don't know. But I don't think that those votes are going to have any applicability like era by era. Like the era with the most karma votes, everyone on that era gets something. I think it's going to be individuals. That would be kind of stupid. So yeah, I agree. Like, and I almost don't even think it's just because Rachel's down to 1. Like, I don't think they'd move them back to teams, though I wish they would. That's like what I would want to see at the end of this competition.
Yeah, I mean, they have done that in the past where they broke in the game and then came back to like for Ride or Dies. That's what they did. It was paired, and then they just broke them into teams, and then they came back as pairs. So it's not unprecedented for them to do something like that.
I did try to look at what kind of coin has an eagle on one side and a buck on another, but it didn't come back with any hits.
Womp womp.
Kind of a weird. I don't know that we needed to know like women are eagles, men are bucks, but I guess like tinfoil hat theory, people can kick rocks on that for this because I do think usually they just show up and say like it's going to be a men's day. Like they don't like go through the effort of flipping the coin.
Yeah, kind of sucks for Kylan basically that he had to name targets and it didn't matter. Like that kind of sucks.
That's true. I'm surprised we didn't get a confessional actually to that point.
I mean, I guess he was safe for this week, so that helped him. So I don't know. But yeah, kind of sucks that he had to like kind of ruin his relationship almost with Rachel. But yeah, I don't know. Too bad for him.
I was going to say sucks for Rachel that she wasn't spared from being able to be a target. Like now the winners suddenly are spared, but she was in that like weird interim period.
Yeah. And the entire season, every time you were a target, you couldn't be it again. Yeah, there was that one. So I'm glad she didn't go home this week because that would have really sucked. Although was Ryan a target He was, right? He was back-to-back targets, so that kind of sucks for him.
Ryan was a
Because that was
target,
when he
yes.
numbed, so that kind of sucks.
But he didn't win the elimination.
But through the season, when you were a target, you couldn't be picked as a target the next week. Before now.
Okay, I see. I still have like residual confusion.
Yeah, because Anissa said that you were safe for 2 weeks.
Anissa.
Anissa's like, when you're a target, you're safe until the final. So that's not the case.
Could you really not be like? Now I'm like, not to relitigate that, but I'm like, that's stupid. You should be able to be a target in multiple weeks. If you go in, I think you shouldn't be a target. You know, like you win, whatever. Obviously.
Yeah.
I don't know. Don't Google whatever I said then. I was probably fine with it. Let's talk about the challenge.
Yes, we will do that right after this. All right, we're back.
I did get feedback on Rosh Hashanah about this from one of our listeners.
In a good way or a bad way?
Well, I think she was like, I didn't really notice the commercial until you guys talked about whether you should throw it to commercial, and then you're throwing it to commercial, and now you're talking about throwing it to commercial, and now I'm like, oh wait, there's a commercial. But whatever. That's a valuable feedback. Thank you to Allison.
So does that make you, I guess would that make the person more likely to skip the ad because they know, all right, let me hit my 30-30 and then jump ahead?
No, this listener, I don't want to call you a listener, a friend of mine was like, no, I just listened to the ad, but like I'm more like conscious of it as opposed to when you're sort of like walking to work, like not really thinking about it.
Okay. Interesting.
So we're like, hey, listeners, pay attention again, and now listen to this ad. I like it. Let's do it. Keep doing it.
I mean, I already did it for this week, so there's no going back now. The daily, fire away. There's I wrote down the word and I knew I'm not even going to try to say it because I'm going to completely butcher it. The thing that launches the balls into the air that I have to go collect. Trebuchet, is that it?
I don't know, because I was like, why is TJ acting like we all know what this is? He was like, we've got one of those over there. Like it was a vacuum. Like we all know what it is. I
think it's trebuchet. I could be wrong, but I hope I'm right. I think there's 15 for each of them. We have to run back and collect them and put them in their own particular tube, which a few people do not recognize. Once you put all 15 into your tube, you solve a puzzle that has the 40 logo on the one side of it. That again, Ryan did not recognize. First man, first woman to finish wins. Oh, also, I don't know if he officially declared it before this, but we did get, I would say, complete confirmation that there's not just one winner this season. It's one man and one woman will be winning the season. So that was a big relief.
I thought we knew that, no?
I wasn't sure, but I was like, okay, good. Let's just make it's in stone now, so there's no going back.
Look, Brian is quaking in his boots. He's scarred from what's happened. So
it's been a lot of rough times.
He's a personal invitation. Like TJ could write a letter and mail it. It'd be great. No, that is good. I liked this challenge. It did seem absolutely grueling.
Yeah, I think probably just staying the obvious because of the heat. I feel like if it wasn't a super hot day, it might not have mattered as much. But yeah, it seemed particularly hot that day. And yeah, so Ryan, another point in the Ryan messing up bucket, he put his balls in a different tube. And then Bananas did it also, which was kind of funny. I think he put it in Jordan's, which I think not coincidentally led to Jordan's victory.
Yeah, it made me very interested if it was like a rule that you couldn't like intentionally put them in someone else's tube, or like if it's just a fact that like people aren't aligned enough to care. Like I'd be curious if like Devin was there and Devin was a target, if Michelle would have been trying to put balls in his or something to make him win. Yeah. Like that would have been interesting.
Especially if they did this maybe in a few weeks when everyone has played with this format now for a little bit more time, they might be thinking going in like how to do things differently now that it's like individual with the targets and things like that. So it's worth keeping an eye out a couple of challenges down the road if people do start to manipulate it in some way.
Oh, that's also why it's definitely just the general loser goes in, because if a target wins and a target loses, we have no episode.
Right. Well, yeah, there's no deliberation.
Although I guess we have that regardless. So it doesn't prove anything.
Well, there would be no episode if there was no anyone can go in if they lose. If the target won, there'd be no episode or no deliberation, because then the other two would just automatically go.
Right. That okay, good. But we still risk no episode if a target wins and a target loses.
Yeah, but I think I'm okay. If that is the case, I'm okay with them rolling the dice, and then we just like if that happens, then that just happens.
Okay. Cha-cha-cha. Where am I? Oh, here's something I'm going to complain about at the top.
Please.
I don't mind that TJ tells us the sort of stalemate mechanism. Like, if you stalemate, the opposite sex winner will decide. What
Mm-hmm.
I don't like is that how he actions that at the arena and says, Tori, since you're ultimately going to decide who's going in, both parties should have to vote. Somebody should still have to stand on ceremony and say, I'm stalemating, or cast their vote for game drama, right? Like,
Right.
say my name. Say, I want to hear you say my name. Jordan just has to sit there. Like, I don't like that.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you want to make it that like the men's side of it here just doesn't vote, that's fine. But if they have a vote, they should have to say their vote. So I'm with you.
But I like this challenge, like we said, Jordan wins for the men, Tori wins for the women. I wasn't really surprised with sort of the general order of things. I think the people I would generally think are like the strongest remaining
Mm-hmm.
tend to finish towards the top.
I
We
was
came down to
surprised. I was surprised Jordan won this. Not that he should throw it, but like we see a confessional, he's like, I kind of want to like fade in the background. Let's have people focus on bananas. And it's not that people need to be reminded of Jordan's greatness, but in like one of the first real grueling dailies of the season, I would say, or first in recent memory, I don't think Jordan doesn't need to remind everyone that, oh yeah, he could just like do this too, and like you put him in a final, he's probably going to win it. So I just thought, especially like he's not a target this week. He's got a good chance of being safe. Maybe back off this one while you're doing the puzzle and let a couple other people finish before you call check.
Yeah, it's a good point. I think he like you said makes the same point even after he wins. He's like, now I'm gonna have the most blood on my hands when I didn't want to have any blood on my hands. I feel like before the season I would have been like, it's Jordan, he can't help but like compete, but like he already allegedly threw a challenge
Mm-hmm.
on this season to Laurel. So yeah, it's a good point. It probably did not make strategic sense for him to win this, though I do think he kind of is able to weasel out because a lot of the heat falls on Tori. But he couldn't
Yeah.
have foreseen that, when he was deciding to win the challenge.
Yeah, and even if it did, like Bananas points out, like Jordan, you're not off the hook with this. Not that he necessarily could do anything about it, specifically him, but Jordan, with his crew of women that he has on his side, might take the shot. I don't think Laurel will, but and I guess probably not Rachel. So maybe not, because now it's just Aviv that might take the shot at him. So probably not. Jordan's safe.
On the men's side, it does come down to Ryan and Derek. Though I will make the case that Ryan solved it well before several of the male finishers. And it comes down to Nia and Michelle on the other side. And we had some listener chit chat in the Facebook group about, like, I do feel like the general sense is like, oh, Nia can be like a beast, but like, is Nia's like consistent sort of poor to mediocre daily performance? Do we need to like reevaluate Nia's sort of like physical challenge prowess?
It's a fair point because she hasn't really done very well. I think she just always will have that intimidating factor just from her size in an elimination. So if you face her in like a hall brawl or a pole wrestle or like balls in, like something like that, like she is a more terrifying opponent just from her sheer size. But I think with a lot of things that require athleticism and a lot of other bells and whistles that go along with challenge dailies and eliminations, she doesn't seem to do that well. She kind of caves under pressure a lot of the time, so she probably is more bark than bite come these competitions, but doesn't mean you might not get bit at the wrong time. So
woof woof.
that was very poetic. That was great.
Yeah.
I love that. Good job, Ibe.
The thing I loved the most, I think, of the whole episode was learning about the LOLs, the ladies of leisure. Eat your heart out, Lavender. Eat your hearts out, Lavender ladies. Finally, a competitive challenge alliance I can get behind.
Yeah, just completely out of nowhere. Love that for the show. They only have an hour and a half, like for 6 months a year with these episodes to drop in their alliances. But sure, let's just learn one haphazardly through the middle of the season. Here we go. We got the LOLs.
That's what's maybe been hard this season is like, we're really, despite again, like you said, having an hour and a half, we're really focusing in episode to episode. And that's not so atypical for the challenge, right? You'll kind of like start to see what the story arc is going to be at the top of the episode, and we'll go from there. And they'll tell you what you need to know. Like, we needed to know about the LOLs now because it becomes sort of relevant down the stretch of the episode, who the noms are, etc., the targets. But like, we could have had this foundation laid, right? Like on another reality show, we would have had this foundation laid as it formed in maybe episode 3, and then we touch in episode 6, and now in episode 10, we're really invested, and we know, if Bananas loses, the LOLs are in jeopardy. Like, they feed this to us like 10 minutes before we end up having the payoff. So I get it. There's a lot of people to get to there, but I don't know that we need to be dedicating the whole episode to just whether Bananas is going in, because Bananas was never not going in.
Right. It was also weird because we were, for a few weeks now, we were setting up this Bananas and Ryan thing, and we get the payoff of them going in. But even that, they kind of pulled the ripcord on early when Ryan's like, oh, Bananas is growing on me. And then all of a sudden they're best buds. And it's like, so what the heck were the last 3 or 4 weeks for, setting up for, when Ryan's being annoyed by him and Bananas is goading him to nominate himself, and now we're finally getting them going against each other, and they're like buddies. Like, that felt like such a waste.
Yeah, I mean, it's a case for like producer manipulation or editing manipulation that would have probably paid off from a storytelling perspective. But I do think like when Ryan nominated himself, that kind of did something. And like, it did seem like they squashed it organically before this, and that this really wasn't about like, oh, I'd love to go in there and rip him apart. I'd love to go in there and beat Bananas. And like, he's been so annoying. Like, I do think they had resolved their feud before, which is sort of unfortunate, I think, for the story.
Yeah. I don't know. Cut that out. I don't know. Like, don't put it in the episode. Make it seem like they're still feuding. I don't know. They changed things a lot. I feel like this is such a minor thing they could have just not included.
Yeah, fair enough. But I do think the real juice was between Tori and Bananas. And I think that was really an effective rivalry playing out for the episode for me.
And I do think now it's kind of set the stage. Like, I think setting it up with Bananas, Angel / Rachel as the CEO, and now Tori's side of it on this, that feels like the two sides of the house that we're kind of setting up for, with some floaters and stuff in between. But that feels like the end game playing out here of where allegiances lies, where shots are going to be taken. Like, that's where it's that we kind of got the two armies kind of ready to go in this stage of the game.
And here's what's exciting about that. They're sort of like fully formed groups. Like, yeah, Bananas doesn't have, when we say like, oh, well, who's really going to put them in? Aviv, who are we worried about on Bananas' side? But like, Bananas, Rachel, and Laurel on one side, and Tori and Jordan on the other, are some very interesting, like, physically capable people who could really kind of change power frequently. And that's exciting to me. I feel like it's been a while, frankly, on a lot of reality shows where there could be like two really formidable sides in opposition.
Yeah. And then we're like, there's the interesting character in all this is Laurel, because Laurel has been kind of with Bananas more through the season. But if the power structure is breaking out with Tori and Jordan on the other side of it, it seems like it might play out a little bit next week. But it's a question of like, where would Laurel stand with that? And that, I'm sure she's going to be in a position very soon of winning a daily. I wouldn't be surprised if she's not. So she might have a tough decision there to make.
And I don't know that like Laurel would put Jordan in, but I think other than Jordan, Laurel would take shots at that side without issue. I think the Josh of it all is going to be interesting because like, he could be heard rooting for Bananas in the challenge. He's like, good job, Bananas, in the Mario Kart thing. So that'll be interesting to see play out also. I think also, next week we're going to see like maybe Naya, in terms of her own self-doubt and position in the game, like being more susceptible of like a weak link to get in her head about her relationship with Jordan. So I think a lot of interesting stuff's to come. But I also thought this deliberation itself was kind of interesting. First of all, I want to give Ryan his flowers. I really respect, he could have gotten away with being like, I'm not going to come here and tell you what to do, like 90% of the people have done in the past. He could have come in and said, I love Derek, but I really don't want to go against Bananas. I mean, that would have been shitty, but he could have done it. The fact that he goes in staring down the barrel of the Banana Man and says, I don't want to go against Derek, I have to respect him for that.
It's kind of amazing that Derek now, his two like closest people, Avery and Ryan, both are willing to just throw themselves to the wolves to save him. And Derek doesn't have to do any of that. And even more so, pushes himself to get away from those situations and does not face the heat of it. Like, kudos for him. Like, he's really built up these social bonds that he could like do no wrong with the people he's super close with. So that's incredible for him.
Yeah. No, that is very true. And he sits kind of back in this deliberation where he's like, we haven't talked games, so I'm not gonna like even
Yeah.
like try to now. But you know, the GOAT television producer, Bananas, who decides to take the I wish you would approach instead of the I don't want to go in approach. I wish a mother freaker would. I have to give it up to him. Like that was entertainment. I was entertained.
Yeah, I mean, he knows how to put on a show. That's where Banana shines. I mean, if people watch him in House of Villains, like he like shined in that show because he knows how to put on a show and make entertainment. As I know some people don't like that and don't like him, and no matter what he does, they don't like it. But he elevates things, especially in this situation when he's backed more into a corner and he's not like the front runner. There is not a likability more with him, but there is a more entertainment factor with him that's not as like gross when he's like leading a charge or leading like a bullying campaign, and it's just like him fighting from behind and scraping and clawing and doing everything he can to like avoid an elimination or get himself to a final. Like that's what you want to see from some of these people. So it's like he's never just going to go down without a fight. He's always going to do this type of thing, and he's always going to try to create a scene. So that's why he's able to do this for 20 plus years, because he's able to create these moments.
And Tori's a formidable opponent for it because he does like not only does he do the like I wish he would, but he's giving kind of the same pitch he gave to Josh, which is like the slap on the wrist, the like I'm not gonna grovel, but like you made a mistake. You made a mistake on behalf of Devin, and I'm not gonna blame you for that. But you've now put us in a weird spot, and putting me in would put you in a worse spot.
Mm-hmm.
And Tori's like, Devin didn't dictate my opinion of you. You dictated my opinion of you. And I was just like, slay. I'm really happy to see Tori kind of like square up against Bananas and not be afraid of him.
And I think it goes back to what, like, obviously it goes back to this, but as we pointed out, it was just a very careless move that Bananas did trying to separate Devin and Michelle. I don't think he thought it would blow up to like their other plus ones. Like I don't think he thought Tori would take on this, but it didn't seem like it was such a necessary move. Like Michelle pointed out that she would work with Johnny. Like Devin didn't seem like he was so anti-Bananas at that moment in time. It just felt like an unnecessary move, and it's really created a situation where he's now fighting against Tori, where if he just let things play out naturally and Devin just goes home, I think Tori and Bananas absolutely could work together. I think Michelle and Bananas absolutely could work together, but he forced their hands. He's like, you tried to like separate us and like break us up, and like I can't work with you. What would that say about me? Like for Michelle now dating Devin and Tori best friends with Devin, like what would that say about me if I'm now working with you when you conspired against like my best friend / boyfriend? Like I have to go against you, and it was so unnecessary when he did it.
And it hurts her game too. It's not just like, oh, I took a shot at Devin. It's like by taking a shot at Devin, you put me in jeopardy, and that's valid. Like it's not just for spite or for friendship or whatever. Also, Bananas keeps changing his story, which is what he did when Devin confronted him, where now he's like, Devin said he was going to go against me and you didn't defend me, Tori, so I had to do something about it. Devin only said he was going against Bananas. When Bananas got caught, they confronted him and he was like, well, one day you were going to go after me and they were going to work against me. And Devin was like, yeah, of course, one day I was going to go after you. Bananas has now changed that to be like, see, Devin was going after me. And it's just, I kind of like that they're going to play out this season on opposite sides, because I don't think this is going to be like a long-term beef. I think it's short-term beef.
Totally.
And that's very old school. Like, I want to see a one-season arc of beef between Tori and Bananas based on nothing. That's very exciting to me.
Especially from Tori, because the last few seasons, we don't see this from her. We see her usually playing very safe, riding with her crew, just trying to get to the end.
Fighting her own partner. That's the only beef she has, which is very annoying.
So it's very fun to see her in the mud, getting dirty, taking shots and throwing daggers. It's like, this is great. This was like a OG Tori when she was like back against the world up again in World of Worlds. Like that was what made most of the challenge audience fall in love with her. And it swung very far back the other way, but it's going to be fun to see her like getting down and dirty again.
So let's talk about the actual move, though, right? Like, do you think it's the right move to put Bananas into the elimination?
It's almost to the point of, it was like if in Big Brother you backdoor someone post veto, you get them on the block, and it's like, well, they make great arguments, and you're like, should we just not vote him out? It's like, well, you already went this far. You just have to do it because there's no going back. Like Bananas can say whatever he wants and be like, no, we'll work together. you broke it. Like, he's going to take a shot at you the next chance he gets. Like, especially as Bananas points out, he's the pettiest guy out there. You saving him here, it doesn't matter. You took the shot at him, he's going to take the shot back. So once Tori put Bananas as a target, she took the shot. She has to fire it through no matter what. It could have been anything in an elimination. Like, but this is also why you do it, because you don't know what the elimination was going to be. But even if it was something super physical, you just have to do it because you already did it.
Yeah, talk about challenge merge. Dangerous, petty, vindictive little prick. That would be great. No, I mean, I agree with you completely. The difference being that if Bananas wins, he's immediately in power. And at that moment, she doesn't know that she'd be safe. I think Tori was genuinely surprised, or she seemed surprised. Maybe she wasn't. But I wasn't thinking about it. I was thinking he was going to be able to put her right back in. Just look what happened with Rachel. So even though, as you said, it's like, it was so obvious, it should have been like what Cara said, it should have been obvious to me, but it wasn't. I'm brave enough to admit that it was not obvious to me when I was watching. And it's like, well, that's the danger. That's the threat, that the Bananas can only be a threat to you if he wins the elimination and can name targets, or he wins the daily, which he hasn't been doing so good at, like potentially winning the dailies. I don't think he's the biggest threat to win dailies. So that's like, as opposed to the back door where you have to follow through, it's like, well, he could be in power and come get you right away. The fact that it pays off for Tori, looking back when you know that she can't get immediately nominated, 100%, you have to make the move. The damage is already done. Bananas will not forgive you for even nominating him.
Yeah, she also did incredible groundwork of basically going around to all the men and being like, look, I'm doing this for you. Bananas, I don't have to worry about beating him in the final. You all have to beat him in the final. I'm taking the shot for you guys. All I asked was protection in return. And I feel like that's probably going to save her at least a couple weeks. I think the next two times that whoever the man is that wins the elimination, I think there's a very good chance that Tori's not chosen as a target because of this move. I think she really did really, really smart groundwork of trying to buy herself a week or two of being like, I'm taking the shot for you guys. All I ask for is just keep me safe in return.
So yes, but I don't think anybody really owes her anything. But I also don't think anybody has reason to put her in. Like, the men don't have reason to put her in. And in the same way that she doesn't really have reason to put Bananas in, because she should want to have Bananas with her in a final. Like, because if it's a male and female winner, you have to assume they're going to have some sort of like alternating pairs, rotating pairs they've had a million times. So then it's like, what incentive do any of these men have to get rid of Tori generally?
Just to fall in line with whoever might be they're working with. That'll be the only incentive,
I guess. Or like the fact that she's protecting Jordan, and Jordan is really the biggest threat in the final. So maybe you want to take a shot at Tori so that you have more of an ability to take a shot at Jordan. I don't know. The only other thing is, like, even if she's not the target, shouldn't she care about keeping her like side of the house safe? Like with Michelle, Olivia, and Nia, I think like that was pretty clear. Like at least two of them were going to go up with her.
Yes, but I think that would happen anyway, right? Like, even if she throws in Derek, and let's say Derek wins, I don't know if the targets are going to be that different than what they kind of worked out to be. So I think that's
true.
If you can't, like, that's kind of be the way it's going to be going forward, where if you can't go after the person that just threw you in, you're going to go after the people that's close to them. So that's probably going to be how it's going to play out.
One thing that's interesting in the night out to me, I feel like not a ton that we haven't talked about already, but there's like a conversation where Bananas is sort of previewing that he's going to nominate Nia. And he says, like, anyone connected to Jordan is not connected to me. And I feel like we are getting kind of a different story from Jordan on when it comes to Bananas than we are from Bananas. Whereas Jordan's like, I'd like to get Bananas out, and I think I could do it without him being pissed at me. Great. Bananas is like, I don't work with Jordan. I feel like that's sort of not what Jordan is saying.
Yeah, and I think I guess it's probably because of the connection with Tori, right? I think if this was someone else making the move against Bananas, I think he might not feel as gung-ho with Tori with Jordan, but because it is, there's no other choice. But Bananas has to feel like this is a shot at Jordan, a shot by Jordan.
Fair enough. I also want to shout out Tori. In addition to, as you said, she's like going around cutting deals with all the guys. I think it's a perfect time for her to have this conversation with Rachel, because we talk about this a lot, but Tori doesn't need anything from Rachel. She's established her value because she's in power, but she's not exerting any control over Rachel, needs nothing from Rachel, is not trying to use her leverage for Rachel. And this was a great time for these two very powerful women, I think, to come together. Will it last? I don't know.
I don't see any reason why it won't last at least a few weeks, especially because of the way Rachel parlays it into a conversation with Jordan that plays out swimmingly. It's like in like Game of Thrones. It's like bringing in two like from the winter and the summer houses coming together for a marriage. You got Jordan and Rachel coming together, and it's a dynamic duo that now if Jordan's keeping Rachel safe and Tori safe, Rachel's going to return the favor, and anyone that Rachel is super close with will keep Jordan safe. It's a brilliant move.
I think we are, maybe going back to your criticism of the format. I do think in talking about this and seeing how sort of fluid the power and the dynamics are and the alliances even are, we're missing something by not having a house vote.
I would love a house vote.
And I don't know, maybe it's fine if like the winning person picks of the 3 targets and the rest, and then everybody else is eligible for a house vote. I don't know, but like we're missing something for the house vote here, and they couldn't have like foreseen that, but like this would have been a really good dynamic for that.
Yeah, it just in this format, there's a lot of people that week to week have to just fade into the background. Like think about how big Corey was for like an extended period of time, and it feels like he's been like nothing now for like a couple weeks. Even like how Josh was like so big, and now he's like fading to the background this week. Like it is a bummer not to get. And that's where you get the insights into everyone's mind is how they vote on a week to week, and you can get a little bit more of a sense of the larger group house dynamics, and we don't really get that.
All right, anything before we get to the Bark versus Hart arena?
No, let's do it. We get Killer
Should we throw
Quads.
it to commercial again, even though there's no commercial.
Sure, we'll be back right after this. We are back. Elimination is Killer Quads. It is kind of a twist on like an old school Survivor challenge where in Survivor they used to like run around up a little small body of water chasing each other. Here, they are riding little 4-wheel Mario Kart type go-karts, driving around a little course, and have to pull the flag off the other person's cart 2 out of 3 times.
It's not even giving Mario Kart. It's getting like Diddy Kong. It's like a step down. It's just like I did not like this. There's no version of this I would have liked. Like no people who could have been in it. I don't blame like Ryan for not being that good at it. Like what are we doing? They weren't even cool vehicles. They could have been like full-size ATVs. Like why do we have like my nephew's toy car in the ring here?
Bananas says the best after he wins. He's like, I can't believe that was elimination. I can't believe it either. It's kind of crazy.
What I can't believe is how hard I was rooting for Bananas against my guy. Yeah, I'm a Kehoe. Like I'm 100%, but like love Ryan. But for the success of this season, like to want to come back next week, we absolutely needed Bananas to win this, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was just like how hard I was rooting for Tori against Casey. Like if you flip those 2 results, if we have Casey and Ryan in the house instead of Bananas and Tori, like think about how much worse the back half of the season is going to look. So thankfully we got them both in. Poor Ryan, again, came close. I think round Heat 2 seemed like he was making his move. Wheels gave out on him. He hit the bag of hay. Not great.
It felt like watching turtle racing at a bar. You know those bars that are like, and I don't endorse it, I don't know, like PETA, whatever, but like, you know those bars that have like frogs or turtle racing and you're just like betting on a random number turtle and there's like no skill and you're just like, come on, number 9, like, and then like the turtle veers off or just stops and goes in its shell. What?
The cockfighting. Tamale.
Oh, I definitely don't endorse that. It's just like, what were we doing? Like, I can't believe Ryan even gained on Bananas. And then there was Bananas like, I'm like taking a wider turn so I can go straight down. Like, get out of here. Like, it's toys on sand. I thought that was so stupid. What was not stupid was both the, Ryan and Bananas tributes to their fathers who were military veterans. That was a nice moment for them. And then the inexplicable cut to Nehemiah's like Mario Kart achievements online. Like, I'm the king of the world online.
But it's interesting. They give him that statement, kind of similar to Laurel's 100% on all of her math tests. But this one seemed almost more believable. But I'd love to know what are the world records, because fun fact, I'm an incredible Mario Kart player on N64. Just not the new versions; those are stupid. N64, I can give people a run for their money. So I would like to play
everyone
Nehemiah at
feels
any
that
point.
way. Who's your character?
So that's the thing. I can play with pretty much anyone. Obviously, Yoshi's would be the best to play with, but I'm good with DK. I could even mix it up with Mario if I needed to, but I could. I can bounce around. Peach is good.
I'm a DK. I've been a DK since birth. And I have a little side thing with Toad. But yeah, no, it was interesting to see the photos that proved nothing. It was just like Nehemiah in like a folding chair holding a controller. You know, it wasn't like a photo of like him sitting next to like a leaderboard. But yeah, if you do exit press with him, please ask about that.
It was giving the meme of like the scratch out of a person like sitting back and then sitting up with the controller. If anyone knows that meme, it seemed like that was him.
I feel like I'm not on the internet compared to you, you know? Like
I'm on way too much, so honestly, God bless.
Okay. So, a nice moment between Ryan and Bananas, which maybe if they had edited out the resolution, it would have seemed like they resolved it on the course.
Right.
Like only like Ryan and Bananas' respect from just like flying into hay on a children's toy.
Yeah, even the course was stupid. Like they had a whole thing in the middle of the course, but you couldn't get there. It was just like an oval. Like you couldn't have like some obstacles in the mix or something. It was pretty lame.
And then Bananas picks Naya, then picks Olivia, Devin's pet snake, and Michelle, Devin's soon-to-be ex-girlfriend.
I mean, that's a brutal lie, but it's also like very funny to take that.
It's funny. He could have said like Devin's a widow or something, which would have probably been more offensive, but like less real, Like it's just, it was bad. I mean, jokes on him, they're going strong. Although maybe it'll be like Kara being like, "Mark my words," like Tori and Jordan will never make it.
Yeah. What makes it, I think, more palatable is I think they're all three of them are probably fine. I could see like Bananas like hanging out with Devin and Michelle now. Like I don't think they're like this. That shot to me was very much in the game. Like it was like, oh, Michelle's now against me, so yeah, you're Devin's ex girlfriend. Like, but I think after the season, they probably like are able to like able to hang out and be fine. And I think on another season, they'll probably all maybe even work together again. It just felt like the way this season broke, they're like against each other, so it almost made that shot easier.
So I agree. I feel that way about the Tori stuff too. I think Michelle's in a vulnerable place right now, so I think like there might be a ripple effect for the season. But this drama just feels so wholesome, so old school challenge, like so not deep rooted, not ending decades long friendships. Like it just feels good. Like it's the right amount of drama. I agree. It does feel very season to season rather than like, oh no, this is gonna like unravel like huge problems. So I'm here for it.
Speaking of old school challenge, are you a below deck person?
No? I have dabbled below deck, but I'm not watching the season.
Okay, because there was one of the more recent episodes. There was a scene. There was a comeuppance. They were at the dinner, and someone was upset about paying like the bar tab, and it was giving me throwbacks. First of all, I was stunned that they don't pay for that for them, and it was just giving me big time throwbacks for like challenge stuff. And it made me miss that. I hope they can somehow weave that way back into a challenge storyline of people.
This was like when they were off the boat and like an excursion.
Yeah, it was like in between charters. They go out for their dinner.
Oh, the staff. I think the guests were fighting.
No, the staff. The staff. I couldn't believe the staff had to pay for that dinner. I was stunned.
Oh, of course they do. It's just a reality show. They're not, it's what they would do in real life.
I guess so. I just thought like the show would pay for it. I mean, it was wild. And they're like, yeah, I don't want to like pay for your drinks. It was like, give it such real moments.
One last thing on the like attention Bananas is giving for Devin. It's like the thing that's irritating me about it is that like nobody is sitting there more pleased with a grin on his face than Devin, watching him get more airtime and more attention and control of the game at home than he did when he was there.
Yeah, he is bouncing off the walls. He couldn't be happier.
All right, we have a lot of news to get to. Let's maybe do the drinking game first, and then we'll get to some news.
Oh my god, I'm so excited. Well, sometimes challenge news could be bad, so that I don't know. Now I'm concerned. But yes, we have the drinking game. I also have it if we want to do like the breaking news. We also have for tonight if we want to do like double dip. because we don't usually record now, so we can do both. But for last week, there was 19. 4 confessional animations, 9 mentions of the vacation line, so that was a big heavy hitter. 3 family analogies with the Tori and Casey calling each other brothers. Casey mentioned she plays football, which I feel like it was a hobby, but that feels like an insult because I think that's kind of Casey's like actual job is playing professional football. So that's
well, no, I think the rule was like anytime someone says I do X in life, so I'll be fine at this.
Okay, that's fair. One of the pictures coming to life, and then we got the game format change. So there we go. And 19 for this week or last week, and then for this week, let's drop it in now. There were 6, 2 confessional animations, 2 vacation alliances. Oh no, just alliance names, which was Johnny's Angels and Ladies of Leisure. 1 picture coming to life, and 1 time mentioning where they are. Actually, I think it'll be 2, Kyle. Not to be mean, but I think it was 2. But there you go.
I think he's probably counting the scene.
Just the whole scene as 1. Okay.
I'm gonna steal from a Facebook contributor from some of the Facebook group, Peter Athanase. Whenever Corey's shown working out, and then when I was watching, I was like, wow, he is shown working out in the background a lot. It's like a little Mitch watch. It runs in the family.
I mean, I think we need to just put in like the Devin cutout in there, but I feel like that's like too obvious. But the other one that I had was I feel like we're building some storylines here that anytime we get a flashback to this season outside of like a previously on, like if we flash back to any moment that's already happened to like enhance a storyline.
Okay, cool.
Let's get to the
and we have the fun animation. I think that would maybe get counted.
Yeah, that counts.
Okay, so question for the pod from Alex Kulik. Now that we've gone individual, what are your winner power rankings each gender? Women's side is tough. You could make a strong case for any of Laurel, Cara, Rachel, Tori, Jenny, or hell, even Aviv is a dark horse. But one on the men's side, I feel like it's Jordan by a mile, going strictly off format and outlook, not edit or anything like that.
Yeah, I think that assessment is very fair. I think putting Jenny in that group is, I know she's won a season before that, but that feels generous a little bit. But you can make that argument. I mean, I think it's, Laurel, Cara, Tori, Rachel. It's hard to really differentiate the 4 of them. I think in a final, I would honestly probably put Cara and Tori 3rd and 4th and leave it to Laurel versus Rachel. Based off how they've kind of done in previous finals. And then for the men, I mean, I probably would have had Jordan as my number 1 going into the season. And the fact that now CT's out only enhances that. And if it's not Bananas, the only other dark horse I would say is maybe Kylan, just because of his like calculator ability. And he pretty close to winning 39 altogether. So I'll put Kylan as like the third man in that power ranking.
Who is the second man?
Bananas.
Yeah. I think Alex is right that it's Jordan and then there's a big drop off for the men. I think I put Kylan 2. I put Bananas 3. In terms of like threat level, target level, even getting there. Like not if we ran the final today, but just everything. And then maybe Corey / Theo in the 4.
Yeah.
I think like Rachel's my number 1. I've been just so impressed by what's been going on, but I think Laurel is a close 2. And then I agree. I'd probably put Tori, then Cara, 3, 4. But it'll definitely be an interesting one. And then news. Okay.
I really hope we get 3 of the 4 of them in the final. I hope it like they don't just get sniped playing Mario Kart along the way. I really hope we get 3 of that 4 women in the final.
And I do think, I mean, Bananas is going to have a choice, right? Like, I do think, like, the men, again, what's made the seasons kind of boring somewhat is, like, the men eventually are not incentivized to get rid of the strong women and vice versa. So, like, I think the format is such with, like, the opposite genders having so much power over the eliminations and the targeting should help make that come to fruition and have the strongest people in the final. But the way that the alliances are breaking out so strongly, maybe Bananas will rather have Aviv around than Tori.
Yeah, I mean, I think given he would have taken a shot at Tori because Tori would take the shot back at him. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see with the men next week or the women next week what they do to fire back at the men.
And then some news coming out of the Vacation Alliance. This is from Monsters and Critics. The Challenge's Tori Deal and Casey Clark reveal they won't return for season 41. And I think Casey wasn't even at the reunion for 40. Did you hear
I
that?
think but it's happening now. I think, right? I think they flew out, or it happened yesterday or today. This week the reunion was being filmed, which almost makes me think maybe we're closer to the final than I would guess. Because do they typically film the reunion like 2.5 months before a season would end? That feels
I don't know.
really early.
When are they going out for 41? Maybe they don't have, maybe they need some of these people.
That's a good point.
But I guess Casey did like an Instagram live or something and said like she or posted on Instagram and like the challenge is great, but it's a small part of my life. And I was checked out and when I had to go against Tori, and it's like been a lot being on TV for the past 6 years. And I appreciate all of you and I'm like excited for the future and I'm enjoying my time in Thailand. So people are saying it seems like she's taking time away from reality TV. And then Tori commented on this and said, I love you, brother, 4 heart emojis. Enjoy Thailand. I'm seriously about to follow in your footsteps and head out there for a treat myself in 2025 sometime. I feel you deeply on the back-to-back filming. Champagne cheers emoji. It's too much. I'm taking a break after this. Anyway, love, the elimination was a photo finish. It would have gone either way, blah, blah, blah. So perhaps at least a season without Tori and Casey, which I think, following in Nani's footsteps, a great time for them to kind of
Totally.
take a season or 2 off.
I think especially for Tori, because I think it's going to end on like a positive note, but regardless of how she does, I think in terms of like the enjoyment of her this season is been very positive, and leave them wanting more a little bit. So when she comes back, I'm sure for 42, probably, I think people will be like, "Oh, nice. Let's see how Tori does after either like winning the season or getting close. Like, how does she do with 42?" So I think that'll be good timing.
And that's it. That concludes our news and question segment. One
Love
question, one news.
Right? I think that was 2 newses.
One
Was it
news.
2? Maybe just 1 news. Okay, just 1.
One article about 2 people's news.
Yeah, okay. There you go. That's episode 10. You can subscribe, robberswebsite.com/challenge feed. Follow me on Twitter, Cohen _. TikTok, challenge wrap-ups. And follow you.
Can't follow me anywhere. Join the Facebook group. Leave us a 5-star review or a review at all. We're really low on the reviews. It's been like 2 months since we got a review on iTunes. But appreciating the comments on the YouTube and the engagement in the Facebook group. So I get it. There's a lot of ways to talk to us these days and talk to each other. It's been a lot of fun.
We're too available.
I've been saying that for years. Check us out. Check out New Girl Old Guy with Kiva Winokur back this week. And that's it. That's all my news.
There we go. We'll be back next week for episode 11. Happy Halloween. Till then, have a good one.